Hey everybody, time for another episode in the May 2017 estate sale series. It's Friday, September 8th, 2017. So I decided to go back to the estate because there were two large items there that I had trouble, I just kept thinking about. I don't think I worked hard enough to convince him to sell them to me cheap. So one of them was a Solberger, S-O-L-B-E-R-G-A drill press, made in, it's a Swiss-made drill press. It's what's called a gearhead drill press. So there are no belt drives apparently in the thing. And from what I was able to find online about these drill presses, they were fantastic drill presses. So it intrigued me. What I didn't like about it was heavy. And this was a lousy old basement with a dumpy set of bulkhead stairs. It was going to be a difficult move to get that out of there. I really don't have room for it in the shop right now. Of course, that hasn't stopped me in the past. Long story short, the drill press and a Hammond belt grinder, which is basically a big belt sander on steroids. Big cast iron one, huge thing. It looked like it took, well, I mean, the ones I have are 6x8 belts that it takes, 6x48, so they're 6-inch wide belts. This thing must have taken at least 8-inch or maybe even 10-inch wide belts, and it was big and heavy and cast iron and old, like the grinder that the pedestal grinder that I ended up buying. Probably the same era as that. So I went back thinking maybe after some time had gone by that I could, try again to convince him to sell them to me cheap. I basically wanted to give him scrap value for them. We could never seem to agree on how much they weighed or what the true scrap price would be. It seemed like every time I would show him what the real scrap price was, the weight would magically, they'd get heavier. So I had found online that the drill press weighs 375 pounds. So armed with that information, my intention was to go back and basically say, hey, look, this is how much it weighs. Can we get realistic about the price on it? He had a price on that of $1,100 when he put stickers on and tried to have a tag sale, and that didn't work out. Also on the drill press, on the table of the drill press, was a huge tilting rotary table. Massive one. I can't remember exactly who made it. It was an old one. And it was so big that it hung over on two sides of the table. And what the person who had put that on there had done was they had mounted upside down angle plates to the side of the table to act as extra extension shelves to support this thing. That's how big this table was. Easily a 15-inch rotary table. That probably in itself weighed 200 pounds. So my intention was to try and get the drill press with the rotary table and the belt grinder. And when I went back there, much to my chagrin, I discovered that all the items were gone, and to add insult to injury, he told me he had scrapped them. They went to the scrapyard. He further told me that they actually partially busted up and disassembled the items in question before removing them from the basement, so that they could transport it to the scrapyard in the trunks of cars. So there I was, standing there in the basement, looking around and realizing there wasn't much left that I was interested in. But this cabinet, which I had looked at initially, was still there. He's got a sticker on it of $350, but I ended up packaging this with some other items, and I'm probably into this cabinet for about 30 bucks. So let me show you this cabinet real quick, and I haven't cleared a spot for it in the basement yet, so that's why it's sitting here. I'll also show you what's wrong with it. So oddly enough, these cabinets new sold for around $350 to $400, which I was very surprised to find out. It's actually in pretty good shape. On the bottom here, there's some adjustable feet that are damaged. So it has these nice adjustable feet, but the rear ones, you can see the rear ones there, they're bent right out. So I'm gonna have to unscrew those and see if I can't pound that out to straighten this out. This back corner also. Two front ones are good though. So other than the fact that it doesn't have a key and the rear feet are damaged,
Otherwise, it's in pretty good shape. There's some scratches where, where it's scratched, there's a little bit of rust and a couple of small dents and stuff. But overall, it's in pretty darn good shape. So what I like about this cabinet is that the doors also act as shelves. So they got these little, it's almost like a refrigerator the way it's set up. You get storage on the door for tall, thin things like aerosol cans, for instance. Now this thing was loaded with chemicals and stuff when I bought it, and he said I could have all that stuff with the cabinet. That was supposed to be a deal sweetener. And I quickly explained to him, I said, that makes it more of a problem for me because half of the stuff in here I don't want, and I'm going to probably have to pay to dispose of it. So he said I could leave whatever I didn't want. So I just took a quick look through and I grabbed any paint cans that looked like they might still have paint in them and that weren't old as hell. Cans of WD-40. There's some decent stuff in there, and nothing to get too excited about. But rather than throw it out, if I can use it to just paint some of the things around here, kind of do a half-hearted paint job on some stuff like the grinder stand or whatever, that's fine. And even like this Type Bond wood glue, I can see that it's not all hard. It's actually still flows in the bottle, so that's still usable. And then another item that I scooped while I was there was this metal stand, which when I first walked in and saw it, I was like, gee, where the heck was this thing? I had all the previous trips, I'd never seen it. This was buried somewhere, I don't know where. And I was looking at it and I was like, boy, whoever made that stand did a pretty good job, and it's sturdy as hell. This is all angle iron, all welded up, nice. This is a sheet of thick metal on the top. So not quite sure what originally was on this. Probably some sort of machine. Maybe one of the grinders, I don't know. I knew that was going to go to the scrap yard, so I think I ended up getting that for what amounted to probably about 15 bucks when I was doing my adding up in my head as to what I offered for the whole lot. But I mean, this thing is solid as heck, so I'll find a spot for that, and I'll find a machine to put on it for sure. But I mean, 15 bucks wouldn't even buy them, probably half the metal that's there. And the next item I got for about 15 bucks, the way my reckoning goes, is this nice metal rolling cart. It's a decent sized one, and it actually seems pretty sturdy. It's got some decent casters on it. I mean, you can't put a huge amount of weight on there, but I think it'll come in handy. He actually had two this size and then a smaller red one. I ended up just taking one of them. I could have had the other ones dirt cheap too, but I knew I had a limit to how much I could fit in the back of the pickup truck on that trip. So I already bought the big tall cabinet and that green thing. So I figured I'm gonna, as it worked out, I was able to get just this one card in there and pretty much ran out of room. And I also spotted two of these stands. They marked 30206. They're Craftsman. Somewhere on it, they actually say Craftsman. Yeah, here we go. I guess the stickers fell off on some of these, but there's a Craftsman sticker right here. So these are in-feed or out-feed rolling roller stands. So if you got like a really long board and you're pushing it through a saw or whatever, you could set one of these up on the in-feed or a planer for that matter. And I spotted the two of these, and when he saw I was interested in them, he showed me where he had two more, and I hadn't even noticed them because they were covered with insulation. So he ended up having four of these total, and I figure I'm into these for only about 10 bucks a piece, and quite honestly, I've got one of these now. It's more of a stationary style, so I don't even know if I need. Maybe I'll keep a couple of these and sell a couple, but for 10 bucks a piece, I figured they were worth it. So another item I ended up getting out of this estate was I had noticed that there were various piles of 6 by 48 inch belts laying around the place. So I finally ended up just saying, hey, you know what, part of the deal we're making here, you're going to include all of these belts. So I got I don't know how many belts total, but like here's some in a bag. These are interesting. They have a green backing to them. They say they're aluminum oxide. I'm not sure who the maker is on these. Harbor Freight Tools. Quality. These are made in the USA. there was this cardboard box laying there. Opened it up and took a look inside. What's in here is packing foam and a whole stack of probably, oh, I don't know, maybe about 10 or 15 peel and stick Carbimet, special silicon carbide grinding paper for metallography, wet or dry, grit 120. I think these are the peel and stick kind. The diameter is too large for these Craftsman sanders I've got here, but these might be good for my Delta Rockwell sander. Another big stack here. These are A-Loctite. Oh, these are carborundum belts. Fast cut. Another big stack. These look like they say sand cap, made in the USA, aluminum oxide. These are Norton belts. These are Metal Light Norton 36-inch belts. Not sure what the grit is on these. They look awfully coarse. Says, I don't know. Not sure what the, yeah, I don't know. Really coarse looking ones though. And these are Norton 220X. So I'm assuming those are probably 220 grit. Yeah, that says right on the box. These are Speed Wet Durite waterproof cloth, closed coat, silicon carbide belt. Oh, wait a minute. These say they are 6-inch by 60-inch. Oh, these probably. Oh, these must have went on some other sander. 60-inch. Oh. Oh well. Then I also got a pair of these big Craftsman bar clamps. This one is fine, but this one was in pieces. It's falling apart as we speak. This one might end up being junk, but I figured, well, this actually does come apart. Let me see if I can take this apart and put it back together correctly. And if I can't, then I'll just throw it out. So before I get to the next item from the May estate sale finds, I just wanted to mention that I had picked up these two Vise Grips, these interesting Vise Grip clamps. I actually got these off of that guy I bought some stuff off of Facebook, and the torque wrenches and everything, and he had these, and I ended up getting a pair of these for $20. I just thought they were really interesting. You know, good for probably fabrication, things like that, where you're going to reach way in and clamp something. And these are a genuine Vise Grip made in the USA. 18R is, I guess that's the model number. They seem to work perfectly fine. I have no idea what these go for new, but I'm pretty sure that $10 a piece on these is probably a pretty good deal. You know, not the kind of thing I'm going to use very often, I don't think, but just for those few times when I want something clamped before maybe welding it or something like that, I think they're going to come in handy. So this next item I scored from the estate sale falls again in the realm of not the typical item you would find in a basement. Because of the wire basket that you can use to immerse things in the bath here, the guy actually didn't really bother even checking into this, I don't think. He actually thought this was some sort of a fryer, like a deep fryer. But I took a quick look at it and realized that it's an ultrasonic cleaner. And I didn't bother researching or looking anything up. I just decided I was going to take a chance on it. There was no cord. I have no idea if it even works. So I gave probably, again, this was pooled in with a bunch of other stuff, but I'm probably into this thing for like 20 or 25 bucks. And I have very little faith that it's going to be a working unit, but it's worth a shot. And since I've gotten it home and done a little bit of research, I realized that, like a lot of the other stuff that I found down there, it's old, but when it was new, it was crazy expensive. This says Omega Sonics on it, 7850. The only reference I could find to this online was actually through a tool buying program that was designed for Honda dealerships. And I was surprised to find out that apparently these are used in certain applications for cleaning carburetors and other precision fuel system parts in the automotive industry. So according to the Omega Sonics website, this is a 3.75 gallon unit, and it's was designed to be used to clean 1 and 2 barrel carburetors. So that's interesting. It's got this wire basket where the plug plugs in. This actually looks like a regular D-type plug, like used for like the cords that are used on desktop computers. So I'm gonna go grab one of those and see if it fits. Yep, that's what it is. Pretty standard plug. This looks like just a nylon plug you would take out to hook up the drain. There's a drain hole in the bottom, and then this knob on the side here must be to open and close that drain. What do we got? We got an on-off button here that looks like play and stop. So it must be start and stop. This is interesting. This appears to be a temperature knob, degrees Celsius. This supposed to heat up also. So I think we'll leave that off. And then this is a timer in minutes, and it doesn't wind down. It appears like you would just select the time and then probably hit start, and then it's supposed to run for a minute and shut off. So let's see what happens. Alright, the green LED blinked quickly once. Alright, let's try the power. Well, that's a good sign. Looks like it turned on. So now I'm assuming that if I hit this button, it should turn on. It does something. Cooling fan definitely comes on. Yeah, you can feel it vibrating. So I wonder what type of liquid should be used in this thing. You can see the little bits of debris in there. Well, I threw a little bit of water in there because I wanted to test this heating component of this system, and I noticed that there was some smoke or something coming off of this area here, and I quickly realized that these 3 discolored areas right here are where the heating elements must be right behind. So that right there would be from low water level or low chemical level, probably caused that discoloration there. So I guess you got to have this pretty full before you attempt to turn it on, because I just rocked it and let the water hit it and it steamed, so that got pretty darn hot. All right, I topped off the water level. It's only been on a couple of minutes and I could already hear it sizzling. So apparently the heating component can be run completely separate to the ultrasonic. Well, it's been a few minutes and it's definitely warming up. You can even see the convection currents in the water there as it heats the water closest to where the elements are and starts moving the water around. And I tried the timer here 1 minute and it does work. most difficult decision I'm going to have to make with this thing is whether or not I want to keep it for myself or not. And the amount of times that I clean carburetors, I just don't think I can justify holding on to this thing. Especially since the last one of these that sold on eBay sold for like $200 used. Then again, it might be something they don't even really use anymore. Well, alright. I'm going to dump the water out of that and stop playing with that. I give it a quick cleaning. Didn't clean up too bad. I think if I use some stainless steel cleaner maybe on the lid there, I can get some of this staining off. Then again, it might be a chemical stain that's never going to come off. But the sides cleaned up nice. So, alright. I guess we'll put this thing away. So next up are these two boxes which rounded out that trip. So when I break it all down and figure out what I paid for each item, based on what I paid for the lot price, I basically figure I'm into these two boxes for about $40. So let's dive into these and see how I did.